or 6 things to tell you about today, so let's get started. The first one is a little bit of a celebration. It's good to stand back sometimes and pop the champagne, get out the best sake, because we had a quarter in the history of Apple. We shipped over 1,350,000 Macintosh computers in 1 quarter. That is equal to 1 every 6 seconds of every minute, of every hour, of every day. And that has resulted in our market share going up. And so in Japan, last quarter, our market share was 7.8%, and Apple was number 4 in the entire country last quarter. And this is great. So Apple's market share is definitely coming back in Japan. We would like to see it rise even higher in the next few years. So I would like to say thank you very much. I would also like to thank our incredible team here in Apple Japan, headed by Mr. Harada-san. Could I get Mr. Harada-san and his team to stand up, please? And I would like to thank them. So, we now have the strongest product lineup that Apple's ever had. 2 desktops, a consumer and a professional, and 2 portables, a consumer and a professional. And all 4 products are shipping in high volume. So let me tell you a little about each one. Our consumer desktop is, of course, the iMac. And the iMac has been a huge hit for us. Last quarter, we announced the new iMacs. They're so good. And we have 3 different models: the basic iMac, the iMac DV for digital video, and the DV Special Edition. Now, what was so incredible last quarter was actually that the iMac DV Special Edition was so popular. It's so beautiful, and so many people wanted them that we had trouble making enough. So if you couldn't get one, I apologize. We're making more now. But this was our most popular model last quarter. Now we have some market research as to who's buying iMacs that I want to share with you. And this is very new, hot off the presses market research. So, first-time buyers, worldwide, 30%, or basically 1 out of every 3 iMac buyers, is a first-time computer buyer. That's phenomenal, much higher than the industry average. But what is it specifically in Japan? In Japan, it's 50%. This is the most important thing I'd like you to remember from the presentation today. That half of the iMac buyers in Japan are new to computers and are new to Apple. Now, in the rest of the world, 14% of iMac buyers are switching from Wintel to iMac, and in Japan it's 15%. So what that means is that new customers worldwide is 44%, right? A little under half are new customers for Apple. And in Japan, it's almost 2 out of every 3. This is very important to the Macintosh ecosystem. On the internet, 93%. 93% are on the internet. 62% of them got on the internet the first day. And 57% have purchased goods or services already on the internet. And this is one of my favorites. What percent of iMac buyers did not even consider buying another computer? 2/3. 2/3 didn't even want to talk about buying another computer. So that's iMac, and things are going great. Next, I'd like to talk about our consumer portable, and of course that's iBook. iBook we introduced also last year, and we started shipping them in volume last quarter, and it has been a huge hit for us. It was the #1 selling consumer portable here in Japan last quarter and in the US. It's the first portable that's ever been made specifically for the consumer market. Most of the other companies sell their old business computers to consumers. But this is the first one that's ever been targeted directly for a consumer. And I've got some market research on this too. 11% first-time buyers worldwide, but in Japan, 21%. Wintel switchers, 17%, 15% in Japan. For new customers, at 28% worldwide, 36% in Japan. So this is great. First portable in the home, 56% worldwide, about the same in Japan. So for most of these people, it's the first portable they've ever had. And in the United States, where we're shipping our wireless networking, AirMac, 16%, or 1 out of every 6 customers, now has AirMac installed in their iBook. This is going to be very important. 90% on the internet, 70% of purchased goods and services on the internet. So we're very, very pleased with iBook. And now's the time to make it even better. And so today, we're going to introduce some enhancements to iBook. First of all, for our Tangerine and Blueberry iBooks, we are going to double the memory and double the disk size and keep the price exactly the same. So for the same 198,000 yen, you'll get 64 megabytes of memory and a 6 gigabyte disk drive, and these products are shipping this Friday here in Japan. There's one more thing. We have an iMac special edition, right? It's really beautiful. And we thought, why don't we make an iBook special? It's our pleasure today to introduce the iBook special edition, and it's really cool. And I've got, it's 366 megahertz processor, so it's even faster, 64 megabytes of memory, 6 gigabyte drive for only a little bit more money, and it is so beautiful. So what I'd like to do now is I'd like to show you a little video of what it looks like. So can we run the video? Yeah, you got to go see one of these out at the booth. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And now I've also got some TV commercials, which we're starting to run tonight here in Japan. And I've got a version. The first one is a version in English with the actor Jeff Goldblum, and the second is a localized one translated in Japanese, which we're going to be running here tonight. So I'd like to run both of them for you. So can we go ahead and run some TV commercials?
The honor of your presence is requested at the marriage of power and elegance. I didn't even know they were dating. Presenting the new iBook Special Edition. Black tie optional.
この度、パワーとエレガンスが一緒になることになりました。つきましては、結婚式にぜひご出席くださいますようご案内申し上げます。なんだ、あの二人付き合ってたのか。iBook スペシャルエディション。ブラックタイご着用を。
Special edition. We think it's going to also be very popular, so we're building a lot so we can keep up with demand. So that is what's new with iBook. Now, let's talk about our Pro Portable, the PowerBook. The PowerBook is the finest mobile tool for creative professionals. This has been an extremely strong product for us. It's the fastest portable in the world. Well, until today, because we have a new one. We've talked to a lot of you and a lot of our customers around the world about what they love about the PowerBook and what they'd like to see improved. They love the design. It's so beautiful, and it packs so much power into such a small package. But they want even more power, and so that's what we're going to give everybody. We're going to keep the same award line of the current PowerBook. It's just so nice, but we're going to pack even more power into it. And so we've got some amazing new performance. The first thing is 500 megabits. This is now the fastest portable in the world. It toasts the Pentium 3 portables. And unlike the Pentium 3 portables that slow down when you unplug them, this doesn't slow down. It keeps running at 500 megahertz and the incredible speed it has wherever you are. It's got a 100 megahertz systems bus. It's using Ultra ATA 66 drives, so the drives are much faster. And we put an ATI Rage Mobility 128 graphics chip in this. A portable has never had a graphics chip this fast before. This is extremely fast for portables. Fastest graphics of any portable in the world. And we're building DVD drives into all the models. And we're building firewire. On the back of the new PowerBook, we've got two FireWire ports here. They both run at 400 megabits per second. You can hook up FireWire disk drives, FireWire zip drives, and you can also hook up FireWire DV camcorders. And this is really important because one of the biggest things our customers told us was they want a portable movie studio. And this allows you to have a portable editing solution like nothing else in the world. Especially when combined with our Final Cut Pro editing software, you've basically got a movie studio without the studio. You can take anywhere in the world. And we think this is going to be very, very popular. So FireWire built into every one. It's also AirMac ready. So there are antennas built in this portable. And inside, you can add an AirMac card without taking up the card slot. You can add it inside the portable and have AirMac at 11 megabits per second. 5-hour battery life. This is a real 5 hours. It's fantastic. And with 2 batteries, you can get 10 hours of battery life. And we are seeing that now routinely. There are 2 standard models that we're going to offer this in. at the same prices we're now offering the current PowerBooks. 400 megahertz, 64 megabytes of RAM, 6 gig drive, DVD and FireWire for 298,000 yen, and the 500 megahertz one with bigger disk drives, more memory, again DVD and FireWire for 398,000 yen. These products are available this Friday here in Japan. The configurations we have, you can configure your own on apple.com, and we'll ship it to you in a matter of about a week or two. So, on new Pro Portable, the new PowerBooks. Which brings us, of course, to our Pro Desktop, the PowerMac G4. This is an incredible machine that's based on the G4 chip with Velocity Engine. It's faster than any other desktop computer in the world. In addition to that, our Pro customers are constantly adding things and reconfiguring their systems, and you can get at everything in this system in a matter of a few seconds. It's the best accessibility of any computer in the world. PowerMac G4, based on the G4 chip. So today, we're announcing an enhancement to the PowerMac G4 line. We're taking it to 500 megahertz on the G4. So the system will now be available in 3 configurations, 400, 450, and 500 megahertz, at the same or less prices. So in Japan, 98,000 yen for the 400 megahertz, same as the current 350. The middle one is a little less, 298. And the 500 megahertz, 428,000 yen. So 500 megahertz on the G4 line. In addition, we are now shipping our cinema displays again this quarter. We can only make a certain number each quarter, and they sell out really fast. This is a 22-inch LCD display. It is the finest computer display in the computer industry. Hooks up to the G4 directly with a digital link. And the new cinema display and the 500 megahertz G4s are now the most powerful tool for creative professionals in the entire world. And so this is our lineup. We think we've got the strongest lineup in the industry, and we think these announcements today make it even better. So now I'd like to talk about a few other things, and then I'd like to show you Mac OS X in a few minutes. Okay. First thing I'd like to talk about, AirMac. This is incredibly important to us. We think wireless networking is going to be huge, and Apple is leading the wireless networking revolution. We are shipping AirMac in Japan this Friday. As you know, staff having trouble with my slides. AirMac runs at 11 megabits per second. 11 megabits per second. You can have up to 10 computers sharing one base station, and they all can talk to each other and to the internet through that base station up to 150 feet away. There we go. 11 megabits per second without wires, 150 feet away. No, still not working here. AirMac is industry standard 802.11, which means that you can use it not with just our products, but with almost everybody's products. This is a new industry standard that everybody is making products for. And all of our systems are now airport ready. They all have built-in antennas, and you can slip an airport module into any one and have this functionality. We think this is going to be a really big deal. We're putting a lot of resources into this. If I were you, I would check out AirMac in Japan. So I'd like to just show you this right now. I've got AirMac running on a iBook here. And here's my iBook. I have... So I'm going to take my iBook and we'll just do some surfing. Come on over here. All right. We get the video up on the screen? All right. Let me bring up my browser here. And I have no wires. I'm just going to go to the Apple Japan site here. And you can see I've got all sorts of stuff here on the Apple Japan website. Let me go ahead to Mainichi Interactive here. Let's see what they've got up. Here's the daily news today. I can go to Disney's website if I want to. You know, poke around. I can even play QuickTime movies over airport because it's so fast. So what I've got here is I've got an outtake from one of my favorite movies, Toy Story 2, which is opening in Japan. And it's very important that all of you go see it. So let me just go ahead and play this. So you can even play QuickTime movies over the airwaves to this portable. I'm streaming this from the internet with no wires. Isn't that cool? So again, if you had an iBook with AirMac on it, you had an AirMac base station, you could roam around the exhibit hall today, constantly connected to the internet without any wires. AirMac. The next thing I'd like to talk about is also extremely important to us, which is desktop movies. This is the coolest thing I've personally ever done with a computer in my life. And this came about starting with the iMac DV mods. These are phenomenal computers, and they have FireWire on them. And FireWire allows us to connect them to digital camcorders without any extra equipment, just a FireWire cable. And I connect my digital camcorder to the iMac, and then QuickTime handles all of the digital video coming in. And we wrote an application on top of QuickTime called iMovie, which lets you edit your movies. And it's remarkable. It's so simple that you can be using it in 5 minutes, editing a video, without a manual. And so these things have all come together to make desktop movies. Now, in the US, 10% of the iMac customers have already made an iMovie. In Japan, it's 20%. 20%. In the US, 1 out of every 3 iMac owners plans to make an iMovie. In Japan, it's half. We think this is going to be very, very important. And iMovie software is something we wrote internally and is the best video editing software ever for mere mortals. So what I'd like to do is just show it to you now. I'd like to make a movie for you if that's okay. So let me come on over here. I've got myself a camcorder here, and I'm just going to launch iMovie. And I've already loaded some of the scenes into the camcorder. These are clips that I've taken with my video camera, but I've got a few more on the camcorder. So all I do is I take my FireWire cable, and I plug it into my camcorder, and I turn my camcorder on. I'll just set it right here because iMovie controls the camcorder for me. And all I have to do is push play, and I push this button called Import, and iMovie will automatically sense any clips on here and it will load them in to iMovie. And every time I stop and start the camcorder, it will sense that it's a different clip. Okay, so now I've got my 2 clips in here, and now I can click back to iMovie, and now what I want to do is start making a movie. So I'm going to grab a clip here, and I'll just drag it down into my movie, and I can play this clip. And I'm going to trim this down. I don't need so much of this. So what I'm going to do is just come back here, maybe to there, and I'll just trim this stuff out. So now that clip is a little shorter. Now I'll bring down a second clip, maybe this one here, and I'll just bring these down. And I can play them if I want to. I can just go back to the beginning and play them here if I want to. And it just goes from one to the other. Very simple. But I can also rearrange them. I can just take this clip and just say, well, I really want to put this clip right here. I really want to put this clip right here. And let me bring down a few other clips, and I'll just drop them in. So now I've got my clips here. Now, I can add transitions between some of these clips, but let me go ahead and just play some of these clips for you so you can see what they are. So here they bring the bucket. They're going to give the dog a bath. Here they're filling up the bucket with water, bringing the dog in. Here they're giving the dog a bath. Now, let's say that this girl is my daughter, and I want to really focus on her. Again, what I can do is I can take this clip back, and this boy's a very nice boy, but he's not going to be in this movie. So now it's just this clip of, let's say, my daughter here. And here's another one here. This is... So let's say I want to end it right when the dog walks off. I want to end it kind of right about there. So again, I just cut this out. And here's another one. Let's say at the end where they're spraying me with water. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a transition. Let's say between 2 of these clips, I want to do a cross dissolve. And, whoops. So I'll pick this clip here and just do a cross dissolve, let's say, to that one. And I'm going to take, say I'm going to take 2 seconds to do that. And I just drag this down in here. And now it's going to calculate a cross dissolve between these 2 clips where it fades one out and fades the other one in. And it'll take a second to do that. Let me tell you about iMovie. All of the data that my camera has transferred in over FireWire is all digital. So it's almost broadcast quality. And iMovie keeps it in the DV format that's almost broadcast quality. All my editing is being done in this quality, and all the calculations are being done in this quality. And so when my movie's done, I can play it on the computer, I can put it back out to tape, I can go through a camcorder and make a VHS copy, or I can even make a QuickTime movie and put it on the web. But when I put this back on my television, it's almost broadcast quality. The quality's stunning. So what I'm going to do now, I've made my, let me just show you this. Here's this clip now, and you can see our transition. Whoops, here we go. See that? Isn't that nice? Now, let me do another one here. Let me go ahead and do a push right. Right? About like that. Maybe I'll make it a little faster here. So I'll just drag this down. I just drag this down and pop it in right there. And then, what I can also do with iMovies is I can put titles on things. And so I'm going to go ahead and make a title in just a second. We'll put it on our first frame. select the first frame, and we'll say, I could have this title right here, Rex's Bath. I'm just going to pick a centered large one. Let me go ahead and just, right? Okay. Oops. So let me go ahead and say, we just want to go, so I'll just drag this right over here, onto this right here, and it's going to calculate my title, and then I'm going to be done with my movie vision. And we can watch it, and then I'll show you another remarkable thing about iMovie. Okay. So let me go back and let me play you our movie full screen. Here's our transition here. Titles for the ends and credits. Okay? So, one of the things we can do in iMovie is we can add sound effects. So I can go in here and I can say, well, I've got some sound effects. I've got. So I'll pick my dog bark here and I'll go ahead and just maybe put that right here. And then what I can also do is I can also put in a CD and pick a music track off it. Now I can also load MP3 files or whatever I want. So I have some sound here. I'm just going to open a file. Let's see. I want to import file. And I've got some music here. And it'll bring in my music. And I'll go ahead and put the music at the beginning. And I'll just trim it down here to the end. And I'll even say fade it out. And now let's take a look at our movie. Pretty cool, huh? You can change and enhance your movies at any time too. So I have a camcorder over here. Let me just turn it on. Let's see. Alrighty. Hi, Mom and Dad. I'm sorry we didn't have a chance to visit this summer, but I wanted to send you a video of the kids so you can see how they're growing. Take care, we love you. Okay, so there's my video. And let me go ahead and bring this camcorder over here. And I will take off this camcorder, put on this camcorder. Plug the FireWire port in, go back to my camera. And let me go ahead and rewind it. Again, iMovie controls everything. And let me go ahead and import my clip. Hi, Mom. I'm sorry we didn't have a chance to visit this summer, but I wanted to send you a video of the kids so you can see how they're growing. Take care, we love you. Okay. So now what I'll do is I'll just take this and I'll drag it down to the beginning of my movie here. Drop it in there. And let me go adjust the soundtrack to start about here, let's say. And I'll move my dog barking sound effect over here. So let's see what that looks like. Hi, Mom and Dad. I'm sorry we didn't have a chance to visit this summer, but I wanted to send you a video of the kids so you can see how they're growing. Take care, we love you. Isn't that cool? Okay. So that's iMovie. And we think this is going to be really big. We think this is going to be bigger than desktop publishing. We think this is the next killer app category. iMovie is going to be very important. And in desktop movies, we run an ad campaign called Think Different, which you might have seen. We're now featuring famous movie directors in our campaign. We featured a lot of wonderful people. And for the next several months, we're going to be featuring these movie directors, people like Alfred Hitchcock, Charles Chaplin, Federico Fellini, Stanley Kubrick, Francis Coppola, Akira Kurosawa. And you can already see some of these wonderful people around Tokyo. And we also have made 2 television commercials that I'd like to run, talking about iMovie. Let's go ahead and run it.
あなたの周りにいるはずです。主演俳優や人気コメディアン、勇敢なスタントマン、斬新な衣装デザイナー。さあ、監督はあなたです。デスクトップムービープレミアロードショーはあなたの iMac で。
Suggest you try soon. Next, IBM is shipping a product from Macintosh in the US called Via Voice, which is voice recognition in English. Today, we're very pleased that IBM is announcing that product in Japanese. I'd like to invite Kensuke Subino up on the stage from IBM Japan to give us a demo of Via Voice in Japanese.
紹介いただきました、日本 IBM の杉野でございます。Via Voiceのマーケティングを担当させていただいております。この度、アップルの皆さんと一緒に仕事をさせていただきまして、大変嬉しく光栄に思っております。本日、日本 IBM はこのVia Voice ミレニアムマッキントッシュ日本語版を今年上半期に、出荷をする予定であることを正式に発表させていただきました。このVia Voice ミレニアムマッキントッシュはこの会場にいらっしゃる皆様のような熱烈な Mac ファンの方々からの数多くのご要望にお応えして開発をさせていただきました。IBM のこの音声認識技術が Mac 版にも広がることによってさらに多くの方がこの音声認識技術を使っていただけるものと期待しております。 皆様に米国英語版を先行発売させていただくことにいたしました。2月25日より12000円にて、さて、それではですね、早速、本邦初公開となります、現在開発中のビアボイスミレニアムフォーマッキントッシュ日本語版、こちらをご覧いただきたいと思います。私は今、マッキントッシュにビアボイスの Mac 版を使って話しかけています。このようにマッキントッシュと IBM の音声認識が一緒になるとただでさえ簡単な Mac がますます簡単になってしまいます。常に先端を行く Mac がまた一つ魅力をつけてしまいました。技術の進歩は素晴らしいですね。いかがでしょうか。Mac にとって本当に画期的なソフトウェアが誕生したのではないでしょうか。ぜひ、ビアボイスミレニアムフォーマッキントッシュをよろしくお願いいたします。どうもありがとうございました。
Thank you very much. Isn't that great? We're very excited about that. Lastly, I want to talk to you about apple.co.jp, our website. We have a very good website here in Japan, but it's going to get even better because today we're doing what we did in the US a month ago. We're redesigning the website with tabs across the top so you can get at some of the most popular places very fast. So as an example, you can drill down into the site as you currently can, but you can get to the store with one tab right on the top from every page on the website. And the Apple Store is starting to really take off now here in Japan. We think this will make it even easier to find it. You can also get to things like QuickTime or support with just one click on the tab from anywhere on the website. Last month in the US, we introduced some new features to the website. And the most important one is called iTools. And while we do not yet have this localized for Japan, we will have parts of this localized later on this year. But you can use it even today, some of the features. As an example, we are offering free email at mac.com email address, which you can use today. And the iDisk. We are giving everybody 20 megabytes of free disk storage on our internet servers, which you can access right from your Macintosh desktop to move files between home and work, school and home, or between your friends. It's really phenomenal, and I suggest you go take a look at it on the new apple.co.jp website. So all of these things we've talked about today are great, but I want to tell you something I may be the most excited about, and that is macOS 10. macOS 10 is the next revision of the Macintosh operating system that we'll be rolling out later this year. And I'd like to take you through its goals. The first goal of macOS 10 is we are going to have a single OS strategy. We're not going to have 2 OSs or 3 OSs or 4 OSs. We're going to have one. And so we're going to go through a year transition from System 9 to System 10. And then everything will be System 10 going forward. So, single OS. Secondly, state-of-the-art plumbing. What I mean by that is that the current Macintosh operating system was designed a long time ago and does not have some modern features like true multitasking, like protected memory, like modern networking. So we want to put all new plumbing in with the best state-of-the-art features. The third is killer graphics. We think graphics are at the heart of what makes a lot of applications great. And we want to have the best graphics built into this OS. Designed for the internet from the start, we're using internet standards throughout this operating system. XML is everywhere, as an example. And it's designed from the start with the best internet connectivity and networking, etc. And a gentle migration from our current base to Mac OS X. And there's one more that I don't have on the slide, which is Mac OS X is a global operating system. In other words, we have one CD-ROM that has every language on it. No longer separate releases. Mac OS X will ship in Japanese the same day it ships in English. So we have a 12-month rollout. We announced Mac OS X last month. We're going to have our final beta this spring. We're going to put the product on sale shrink wrap this summer. And early next year, we are going to then preload it on all machines. So we have about a 12-month rollout. And we are on schedule. We just shipped our latest developer release this week to our developers, and we are on track. Now, what is the architecture of Mac OS X? Well, we start out at the lowest level with the foundation, which is called Darwin. Darwin is the basically OS core. And Darwin is a super modern kernel for an OS. It features protected memory, preemptive multitasking, modern networking, multi-threading. It's very, very state-of-the-art. I think more advanced than anything else out there right now. It's very Linux-like, in that we have made it open source, and also it has free BSD Unix integrated into it with a mock microkernel. So Darwin is very advanced. Now on top of Darwin, we layer our graphics. And these are really killer graphics for 2D, 3D, and multimedia. For 2D, we have Quartz. And we base Quartz on the best graphics on the internet, which is PDF. Adobe invented PDF. We've adopted it for the core 2D imaging model for Mac OS X. So that, you know all these PDFs that you have to read with Adobe Acrobat now? You can just read them natively in Mac OS X. That's the core imaging model of the entire operating system, is PDF. And it has on-the-fly rendering, anti-aliasing, and compositing of PDF images. And I'll show you what that means in a while. But it's very cool, and it gives us transparency, which I will show you. So that's our 2D imaging model. It's called Quartz. Our 3D imaging model, about over a year ago, we adopted OpenGL, which is the most advanced 3D imaging model out there. Features hardware acceleration, and it's an industry standard. So the game developers love this. And they're all writing very great games. And some of the best game developers are now writing on OS X, developing the next generation of games. And for multimedia, of course, we have QuickTime, an industry standard for digital, video, and audio, and live internet streaming, built right into the OS. So that's our graphics layer. Now on top of this, we have 3 APIs for developers to write to: Classic, Carbon, and Cocoa. So that there's a gentle migration from where we are today to where we want to get to. Because with Classic, Mac OS 9 apps run as is. You can run your Mac OS 9 apps on OS X, but they don't get all the new features. To get all the new features, developers have to spend a month or so tuning up their apps to take advantage of some of the things in 10. And that's called carbonizing them, so they can run on this new API called Carbon. And every developer pretty much is already doing this right now. We have over 100 of our biggest developers already committed to make their apps carbonized. And the Carbon apps then inherit all these new features, basically for free. And then our most advanced API is called Cocoa. It's object-oriented for next-generation apps, and you can write apps really fast in Cocoa. It's very, very advanced. And so these 3 APIs are our API set for Mac OS X. Developers can choose to write to any or all of them. But there's one more thing. We started 18 months ago to create a new user interface for macOS 10. And that is called Awkward. And we wanted to create something that was a lot better and yet evolutionary so that everyone would already know how to use it. So this is what the architecture for macOS 10 looks like. Now I've got some really great news for you. We are building in the Japanese fonts, of course, to macOS 10. But there's a problem in the computer industry, especially some of the customers we serve in the design and publishing markets. Computers ship with about 8,500 kanji characters, right? And you're always missing characters, especially in design and publishing. So you have to go out and license high-quality fonts, right? And these fonts cost about $10,000 a computer to license them for both the screen and printing. And we are going to change that with Mac OS 10. We are going to ship extended character set fonts with 17,000 characters in them. We are shipping fonts with incredibly great design. We have licensed them and are working with Dynam on Screen, one of the best font designers in the world, to create these fonts that we are going to ship with macOS 10. We're going to ship 5 weights and faces in 17,000 characters and a 6th one in 8,500 characters. And they are spectacular. So let me give you an example. These are 2 characters out of the extended set. Here's 2 more. Here's a 3rd. Now again, you cannot express these things on a personal computer today because the fonts are not all there. The characters are not all there in the fonts. And look at the beauty of the design of these things. They're so beautiful. And they're going to be on every single copy of Mac OS 10. So now I'd like to talk about the user interface. We think this is very, very important. And here it is. This is where it all started, with the Macintosh in 1984. And then Windows came out in the late 80s with this. And this is the most current version of Windows, Windows 98. Pretty much the same interface as Windows 2000. And this is the best thing out there still, which is the Macintosh with its platinum user interface. So we want to go beyond these a little bit, and we'd like to show you how. So let me show you a few slides first, and then we'll go to the computer. So, controls. We started with very simple things, like what should a button look like? What should a slider look like? Because if we don't get these things right, then we'll fail at the higher level things. And so, this is what a button looks like in Opera. These are what radio buttons look like in Opera. These are what checkboxes look like in Opera. It's a pop-up list. Sliders. Very simple things. And now for Windows. Yeah. This is what Windows look like. In the upper left corner, there are 3 buttons. And when you roll over them with the mouse, they'll put their symbols in. The red one is close, the yellow one is miniaturize, the green one is maximize. And again, when you have multiple windows open, only the active one has the buttons open, or the buttons colored. Right? And you even have a beautiful symbol next to the title if you want to drag that copy of that document into another application and drop it in. Here's the scroll bars. Again, very beautiful. One of our design goals was to make this so beautiful that you wanted to lick it. So now what I'd like to do is show it to you. All right. So first, let me show you the controls. Here's an example of a panel with some controls in it like this. Everything's very simple. Pop-up lists, etc. Radio buttons, check boxes. Now, as you know in the Macintosh, the button that's going to get activated if you hit return, there's a big line around it. And we didn't want to put a big line around it, so what did we do? We have it tell you that it's alive. And if you push return, this is the button that you're going to activate. Right? So very simple. Let's close this. And let me go ahead and show you another one, which is in kanji. Japanese, excuse me. And you can see here, these are now, we do not have our new fonts on the system. We just concluded our agreement with Dynamic on Screen a short time ago. But what you're seeing here is Quartz anti-aliasing the fonts on the fly in real time. Look at how beautiful they look, even though the fonts themselves are not the best. Isn't that nice? So, again, So, now let's look at a window. What does a window look like? Here's a window. And again, you've got the three buttons here. You've got a proxy that you can drag off here. And let me show you resizing. I've got, first of all, I can drag around. You notice I drag the contents of the window too, not just an outline, right? And you notice when I resize, I'm resizing in real time. Now, notice the scroll bars. They're proportional scroll bars, and you can see how they grow proportionally in real time. Pretty cool, huh? Right? Let me open a text document. Now, let me show you another thing. You see the shadows? We're doing these shadows real time, so you can see which windows are on top. Very nice. Okay. Now, next let me show you the menus. These are the menus here. Right? Very simple. Pull down menus. But if you'll notice, oops. If you'll notice, they're actually translucent. Right? Isn't that cool? So you can actually see what's behind Okay. Now let's see. Now, one other thing I'd like to do, let me go ahead and open a QuickTime movie. This is the new QuickTime player in 10. And we can play a QuickTime movie. One that I like.
For the first time in history, a personal computer has been classified as a weapon by the U.S. government. With the power to perform over 1 billion calculations per second, the Pentagon wants to ensure that the new Power Macintosh G4 does not fall into the ground. As for Pentium VC.
Okay. So, now, there's a problem with current computers. And that is that, well, there's many problems, but one of them is that we're constantly getting panels telling us things when we have to close a window or when we want to save something. There's panels constantly coming up. And we have to manage them because they're separate windows. Now, of course, in the Macintosh, a lot of these panels stop you. You can't do anything else until you get rid of that panel. But even if that was not the case, if we could solve that, these panels are still all over the place. You might go do something else and come back and not know which window that panel goes with, right? So we came up with a really sweet solution for this. Let's say I want to save this window, right? This is what happens. That's my panel. You get to see that? That's my save panel. And it moves with the window, so I don't have a separate window. And I can go do something else, you know, in the meantime. And I don't have to worry about remembering which window that panel went in, right? Very simple. Now, what happens if your window's too small? What if your window's very small? Well, this is what happens. Very simple. And if your window is too close to the side, just moves it out of the way for you. Very simple. Okay. Now we get to the Finder. The Finder works a lot like the existing Mac Finder, and it works a little different. So the first thing is, if I'm interested in working like the Mac Finder, I can do that. I can just go in to my FireWire drive, let's say, and I can go into Documents, and I can go into Images, and there's my images. But just like the Mac, I have all these windows around that I have to be the janitor and clean up. I have to close all these windows. It's a pain, isn't it? And so the main way the new Finder works is in single window mode, where I can just go like this. Boom. And it just keeps me in one window. And yet I can find out where I've been, just right here, and go back anywhere I want to. Right? No problem. So I can get back anywhere I want to. If I'm here, I can go all the way back to here. Right? Very simple. We've even added a back button, so you can just go back one at a time, just by pushing just like on the browser. Now, the other thing we've done is we've added some pre-programmed buttons up here. So no matter where you are, you can get to your home directory, or back to your computer, or to all of your applications. And we have all your applications in one place. You can have folders inside, whatever, however you want to organize them. But from wherever you are, you just hit one button and you're back to applications. There's another place to put all your documents. And again, you can have folders and folders inside folders, but there's one place where all your documents are. Now, there's a place for your favorite places as well. And as you might remember when we wanted to save this, right? It asked us, where do we want to save it? And I have my favorite places here. If where I want to save it is not among my favorites, I can open this and start browsing the file system if I want to, right? I can always do that. No problem. But most of the time, I want to save things in places that I know. And how do I set that all up? I set that all up by just dragging folders into my favorites here in the Finder, and those are the ones that show up in all my panels. Very simple. And I have people, right? If I want to find my favorite people, I can just go in here. So no matter where I am, I've got these shortcut buttons that can help me navigate. We also have a new way of navigating throughout the file system called the browser view. And this can help me navigate all the way, as an example, from my FireWire disk into Documents. Whoops, didn't want to do that. FireWire disk into Documents, into Images, and again, we've even put a preview mode here, so I can see my images here if I want to. Right? As a matter of fact, I can even watch movies here. Preview.
Now departing for exotic.
So again, I can preview anything I want and go back to anywhere I'd like to go. But normally we'll be using this in icon. Okay. So this is pretty much the new Finder. And of course, I can always choose to put the disk if I want. You know, any disk on my desktop, just like I could before. So if I want to access the Finder from there, I can just click on this, and it'll show me what's in my hard drive. Right? Click on this, it'll show me what's in my FireWire drive. But I don't have to have those up there. I can do whatever I want to do. So, this is the new Finder. Let me go back to the Finder, and now what I'd like to do is show you a demonstration of Quartz, our 2D imaging model. So let me go into Apps, and I'm going to launch this application right here. And this is a compositing app here that'll demonstrate quartz for us. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Documents, and in Documents, oops, I want to do this by icon. In Documents, I'm going to go down here, and I've got some PDF images, and again, all I have to do is drag them in to any window, and they image, because we understand PDF at the native level of the graphics. And just like anything in PDF, I can resize things. You know, I can rotate things. I can even put shadows on things. And these shadows are being calculated on the fly. As you can see, they change. Right? So everything's very, very amazing here. Let me go get the rest of the Toy Story 2 logo parts. And so let me go and make it smaller here. And maybe put this on here a little bit smaller. About right. And again, this is one of my favorite movies. But let me show you what transparency is all about. Okay, watch this. You ready? Now, it used to be that only very high-end graphic arts apps would do this for you. But now every application in Mac OS X has these features available to it. So isn't that beautiful? I can put something else down here too, which is, here we go. Now, what does every child have on their mind? Isn't that cool? I'll show you one other thing. Back to Documents here. Let me go ahead and put one of our new characters on. And again, even these, I can make semi-transparent if I want to. So, that is quartz. And we think the basic imaging model of quartz is going to make all the apps on Mac OS X much more exciting, much more powerful. And it's based on PDF, which is the core high-end graphics standard of the internet, of the entire internet. So, the next thing I'd like to show you is an app that we've written in Cocoa, which is our mail app. And let me go ahead and bring mail up here. And the first thing I'll just show you is I'll bring up a compose window in mail. And how do I take something from one app to another? I just grab the proxy up here and drag it, and boom. And you notice it just instantly images in here. Right? So you can move things around between apps in a way that you never could before, with full PDF ability, full transparency, etc. Okay. So, here's our mail system. Again, we've got all sorts of mail messages. This is going to come bundled with Mac OS X. Again, full kanji support here. Full PDF graphics, etc. Just drag stuff in. No, you don't need to go to attachments to read things. It's very simple. And when you get new mail, I just want to show this off. This is what a progress bar looks like in Mac OS X here. Fetching new mail. And I just want to show you, you have a little drawer for all your mailboxes here. So you can have all these different mailboxes. And when you want to transfer a mail message, you just drag it to this drawer, and it just transfers it to that other mailbox. If the drawer is not open, you can just drag it in that general direction, or this one if you'd like. Just transfer it. Very simple. So that's a mail app. That's an example of an app written in Cocoa. Now what I'd like to do is I'd like to show you an app that is written in Mac OS 9. I'd like to show you an app that's running in Classic. And I have an Excel spreadsheet here. This is just a Mac OS 9 Excel spreadsheet. Again, I just double-click on it. It launches Excel, and here it is. Now, it doesn't look as good as the Mac OS X apps, because we can't do that, right? But it runs just fine. And you can run Mac OS 9 apps alongside Mac OS X apps. I think this is probably running here. Yeah. So here's an Excel app running this fine. Okay. Boom. All righty. Now I'd like to launch an app that I hope you never encountered, which is an app we wrote called the Bomb. Now, what does the Bomb do? The Bomb basically tries everything it can to kill the operating system. And believe me, on macOS 9, it would succeed. So let me go ahead and bring up another movie that we can play. This movie is a Mission Impossible trailer. Try everything it can to kill the system.
Good morning, Mr. Hunt. Sorry about the
Here we go. This is all that happens.
This is your mission, should you choose to accept.
The system just keeps right on running. Now what I'd like to do is show you one of the coolest features of macOS 10. Now, one of the problems we have in our operating systems today is that when you really start to get using several applications at once, you're constantly having to find them. Even if they're on the desktop, they're underneath Windows. And we wanted to create a place for users to put their favorite applications and their favorite documents where they could always find them quickly. And you know when you miniaturize a window, a place for it to go where you could always find it quickly. And so that's what we did. And it's called the dock, right? Let me go ahead and, this is the dock, very easy, very simple. And you can drag things into it. So I can drag anything I want, an application into it, I can drag a document into it, and now my dock is full. Well, what's going to happen now? What do I do with the next thing I want? Well, let's watch. Let's say I want to drag this into it. It just gets smaller, right? It just gets smaller. And so I can drag all these different things into my dock, and it just keeps getting smaller and smaller until it can accommodate all of them. As a matter of fact, let's see. I can even set my dock, to make things as small as I want. Things can get mighty small on the dock. Okay, so now, what happens when I miniaturize a document? Let's say I have a document open, and I miniaturize it. What happens? Well, let's watch. Pretty cool. So let me go ahead. I'm going to turn the slow motion on so you can see this here. Isn't that cool? I can rearrange anything and move it anywhere I want in the dock. Slow motion's on. Let me turn it off here. So I can rearrange these things and put them anywhere I want in the dock. Right? And this works. Okay. So now, actually, let me even show you one other thing here. Let me get this out. Let me open this QuickTime document again. Okay. And let me turn slow-mo on here. Okay, now let me play this. Go ahead and go a little further. Okay, now watch. I'm going to miniaturize this. Isn't that cool?
Sorry about the vacation.
feature that we have. Oops. I'd like to show you a feature that we have. Let's say you would like your dock small, or you've got so many things that your dock gets a little small. Well, we've got a feature that's really cool called magnification. And what it is when you it just gets bigger. Right? Actually, I've still got slow-mo on. Let me turn it off. It just gets bigger. And you go like this and see anything. So no matter how small your dock is, you make it very small and still see anything. Pretty cool, huh? So most of the time your dock's going to be like this, but again, you can just make it a little easier on yourself. Now, another feature we have is if you don't want to see your dock all the time, it can hide, and it can just come up when you go down, right? Very, very simple. But we like to see it. And the last thing I'd like to show you today is a pretty cool feature in the dock called single window mode. So let's say I've got this open, and I've got 2 documents open, and what I really want to do, matter of fact, maybe I'll even open a 3rd. So I've got 3 documents open. And I'm going to be switching back and forth between documents all the time, and I want the system to manage all the windows for me. From any window, I can click this little button up in the right-hand corner and go into single window mode. So I click this button, and these other windows automatically put themselves in the dock. And now I go ahead and just click this one, right? And it manages my windows for me. Isn't that cool? And so I can be working on all sorts of different things. And the system will manage this for me. Let me go ahead and do that again. I put it in slow motion now, so you can see it a little better. Very, very simple. So this is the dock. And this is one of the great features of all these wonderful new things about Mac OS X. So what I'm going to do right now is show you one last thing. I'm going to log out. Oops. Log out. And I just want to log out here. And I'm going to log in as Mr. Harada. I've set up an account for Mr. Harada-san. And I'm going to log in. And he has a password here. And so I'm just going to log in. And Mr. Harada has his system set up a little differently than mine. Mr. Harada has a system set up all in kanji. Right? Again, Mac OS X is one global system. We're going to ship it in Japanese and many other languages all on one CD-ROM at the same time. And we're going to ship it with not only the most robust operating system in the industry, not only the best and most advanced user interface, but the finest Japanese fonts that have ever been shipped with a personal computer before.